from your local election headquarters. This is Big Country Politics on KTAB.
All right, welcome back to Big Country Politics, and we are joined by new City Councilman Jack Rentz. And congratulations, first of all, and thank you for being on the show.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having me. Good to be here.
Well, I want to talk, first of all, about the campaign and your decision to run for City Council. First, let's talk about that. What brought you to the race, first of all?
Well, I've been talking to some people for a couple of years about running, and it just seemed like, and I'm also sort of trying to retire, and I found sitting at home in a recliner chair it gets old pretty fast, and
yes,
I really don't have any hobbies. I don't like to work in the yard to extreme detail. I'm not a woodworker and all that, and so I found myself after a couple of years of almost doing nothing at work. Well, I need something to do, and I felt like it's a good time to run.
Well, so let's talk about the race now. Okay. You got in the race. Talk about not your campaign, the decision to run the way you did, your reasons to run.
Well, I think I can be an asset to the council. I'm an engineer by training, and we solve problems. We get out of bed to solve problems. We don't try to cause them. Sometimes we do, but we solve problems. I see a lack of ability to solve problems on the council, and I think they're capable of it, but somehow they just can't get their hands around them, and that's all I've been doing for 40 years is dealing with issues and problems.
So this campaign, as it went on, it did get a little negative, and it started out, well, I don't say it started out, but it kind of ended with this flyer that went out that talked about a lawsuit against you. First of all, I want to give you a chance to address that. And then I want to talk to you about just the kind of negative campaigning that went on a little bit. So talk about, I want you to address the flyer itself and the content of that flyer. Well,
there were two things accurate in the content. There was an accident, and the young man was under 18, and there was a large settlement paid out. Beyond that, you know, the trial lasted 4 days. You can't address, and many weeks by lawyers, not me, prepping for it. You can't address that in a flyer 10 years later by somebody who's got some snippets of information. So we just chose not to address it. You know, and had we addressed it, they would come back at me with more snippets of misinformation. So just let it fly.
So this is something that was settled years ago.
Oh yeah, in 2007.
Okay. So talk about this. It went kind of negative there at the end.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I think Mr. Kreitler was desperate. He could read the tea leaves, and he saw he wasn't doing well, and he took and he probably I had a lot of good help. He had some help, and I suspect some of his advisors said, "Sling some mud and let's see what happens and see what sticks on the wall." And my advisor said, "Lay low, keep quiet, just let it run."
Well, and that was my next question.
Yeah.
Do you think I mean that may work in bigger cities or in national races? But does that really play here?
It didn't seem to, and I sure don't want to be the one that lets it get started by feeding it and rebuttaling it. You know, he had his day. He said it, mailed it twice. Same people got it twice. Never seen that done before. You know, so let him do it. You know, we just constantly talking to other people we thought would vote for us, and you know, we had pretty deep roots in this community, and we just didn't worry too much about it.
Well, and before we get to what you will be looking forward to on the City Council, I want to ask you about, well, why did you not only decide to run, but what was the biggest reason you ran for City Council, you think? I mean, was there an issue that you wanted to get out in front of?
Well, you know, I think the biggest thing I can bring, one of the big things I can bring to the council, you can use this however you want, is I want to get the truth out, the facts out. There's a lot of misinformation about what goes on in City Hall. There are a lot of people think City Hall is inefficient and corrupt, et cetera, and I've fielded a few of those questions, and one in particular someone was just certain of, and I just made a phone call to the right people at City Hall and got the truth and called the person back, and oh well, okay, you know. I want people to hear the truth, know the truth, and believe it when they hear it.
Well, and that brings up something else. Yeah. Kreitler was known for asking a lot of questions during the City Council meeting. What do you think your election, you coming in people voting you in. What do you think that means? What is there a shift there? What does that mean?
Well, let me tell you, those questions, the answers are known. They're not asking any questions they don't know. They email. If one councilman asks a question, the answers go back to all the rest of them. So come council meeting, everybody knows all the questions, everybody knows all the answers, but a couple of councilmen like to grandstand and make it look like they're asking hard questions, but maybe they're doing it for information purposes, but they know the answer before they ask the question.
Well, do you think the voters were sending some kind of a message?
I think so.
What message would that be, you think?
You know, I don't think you have to be as rough and tough as Bruce has been to get the job done. And he's been pretty rough on some organizations around town. And maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, but there's good ways to get the job done. You don't have to intimidate and bully people. And that's not my style. He has a personality of his own. I have a personality of my own, and they're totally different.
Okay. When we come back on Big Country Politics, I want to talk about your plans on the city council.
Okay.
All right? We'll be back.